Good evening. It is Thursday, April 9th. It's 5 o'clock. We are in the Great Hall. We have a joint meeting of the Methuen City Council and School Committee Joint Finance Committee tonight. We'll start with the roll call, which we never appointed a secretary to our board, so I guess it's me. So, Councilor Drew, are you here?
Present.
Councilor Santos, are you here?
Present.
And I am here. I will pass it along to our school committee members.
Member Keegan?
Here.
Mayor Beauregard is not with us, and I'm Mary Beth and I'm here. And I think we'd also like to introduce members of our leadership team.
Hit your mic.
Oh, mic on. No, it's got to light up right on the bottom. Yeah.
Oh. Also want to introduce members of our leadership team, Dr. Lisa Golopsky, our interim superintendent, Gina Bozak, assistant superintendent of special education, and Ian Goslin, assistant superintendent of finance, busing, and many other things. Okay. So to get started, I think it's a good idea to explain that this is a historic moment.
So let's accept the agenda first.
Accept the agenda, yes.
I'll take it back for 1 second.
Sorry.
I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Drew, seconded by Councilor Santos. I'm not sure if we have to accept with you guys too.
Why don't we just in
You
case?
might as well, but I'll do you guys first. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Motion to accept the agenda?
And I'll second it.
Yes.
All in favor, yes.
That is unanimous. And we will move on to the main topic, agenda item, the general discussion of work done to date by the school committee budget subcommittee. And first, I want to thank all of you for being here. I think this is so paramount in light of the budget cycle coming up. And I just really thank you guys for meeting with us so that we can get some idea before budget cycle really even starts, what we're facing to help alleviate any issues that might later arise.
Right.
So I will pass it on to you.
Yeah, and thank you for that. This is a historical moment. I think it's the first time in the history of this form of government where we've had members of school committee and city council sit down together pre-end of budget season to look at what's being done, what can be done. So tonight, we will be hearing from members of our leadership team on issues of what we've been addressing as we've met as a budget subcommittee. We've met about 4 times at least. I thank Mayor Beauregard and Capo Dupre for attending those meetings and giving some input. But I'd like to turn it over now to our superintendent, Dr. Golopsky, to discuss the areas that we've been addressing when we do talk, when we meet, areas of concerns and areas of opportunity.
Good afternoon. So, as Member Donovan Grassi mentioned, we have met several times. We have yet to present our proposed budget to the school committee. So we've tried to be respectful of not sharing figures and numbers until they have first eyes on it. But we have been discussing general trends that we're seeing, major areas of need, increase, some areas of potential decrease, but primarily those lie in salaries, special education, transportation, the impact of our CTE programming and department. And while we're trying to surmise where that puts us in terms of school spending and the revenue and expenses, we've also been brainstorming where we could possibly create some opportunity for our students and allow some of those needs that we have factored into the budget to survive. So where are those areas of funding that we could be creative and not cut corners, but try to mitigate what could be a tough budget cycle. So we've been preparing at central office level service budget, which on its own deals with quite a bit of increase. We have some contracts that were recently negotiated for all of our units. So factoring in what that means for us in terms of salaries alone, all of our expenses in terms of technology, software, those all have increased as well. Out of district tuitions have increased, busing has increased. So while we're aiming to provide the exact services that we provided this year, they all come at a cost. And of course, we do have what we think are maybe some reasonable areas that we would like to see added or included in the budget, which are in response to staff and student needs. Families have expressed interest in these areas as well. So we've been working really hard as a leadership team to present what we think is reasonable, small steps in those directions where we need to grow, while also maintaining exactly what we have. And I think, Ian, would you like to speak further on some of those pieces?
Yeah, just very briefly. I mean, she pretty much summed it up, but the mayor and the CAFO asked us to come in with level funded. We don't want, and I agree with them, we're not looking for 60 positions. And like every year, I feel like we're throwing stuff against the wall and we know none of it's going to stick. So it was important for us to start with level funded. If we just took what we had now and move forward, and my goal is to have that presented, and then another column of these are the other things we see we need / want, and make an educated decision on whether it's a special ed 1-to-1 that's required by law, okay, but maybe it's not. Make sure we go through and see what's absolutely needed and what's not. So we'll be starting with the level funded, and then I keep calling it like a la carte, well, maybe we could get rid of this if we add this, or, that kind of stuff. But I think it's important to come in to say, if we were going to do the exact same thing we're doing right now, this is what it would cost. So I also want to point out that last year, circuit breaker at the last minute, the state gave us an extra $3.2 million. And one of the first things I do is I back that out of the tuition lines. So it makes our budget smaller because we plan on using the circuit or the state reimbursement circuit breaker. Well, this year we're not guaranteed that extra 3.2. So it looks our budget looks a lot bigger. It's not that our budget necessarily went up, our revenue went down. The circuit breaker, and who knows, maybe they do come up with that 3.2, and then I could duck that out as well. But I just wanted to point that out, that we're starting with a revenue deficit a little bit as well. So.
And what is the number you mentioned? What is the number you mentioned?
Circuit breaker. That state reimburses us for some of our out-of-district placements, for our out-of-district tuitions. We estimate a year ahead. Usually we plan on getting about 75% reimbursement. And this year, that brings us to about $9.2 million we plan on getting back from the state. Last year, we started out at about 8.8 million, and then we get another 3.2, which brought us up somewhere around 12 that I was able to back out of the budget.
You mentioned that we're starting with a deficit. That's what you mentioned. So what is the deficit? What is that negative number?
What's the deficit?
The deficit in
On the budget, you said that we were going to start with a deficit.
revenue,
Oh,
less revenue
Or less.
than we anticipated last year.
Thank you.
Hopefully the state votes to give us more. And it's not really a deficit. It's just we're getting less money, reimbursement for sure from the state than we did last year at this point.
Thank you for that clarification.
I just wanted to kind of go off committee member Grassie's sentiment that this is a great thing, and I would love to see this happen more often. Hopefully we can do this 2 to 3 times a year so that we're kind of getting on the same page going forward, so we can start looking at long-term fixes for our city. So it may be, there's going to be collaborations that we're going to need to have to get thoughtful about how we're going to budget long-term. So I think this is a great opportunity for our body and their body to be able to, work together and try to take away any sort of rhetoric or issues or misinformation that may be out there. And if we can continue this, I think it's going to be great. And I know you guys are all working very hard on trying to not have some of the issues we had last year, so people like me don't end up coming up and sitting here. But I think we're going to be able to work pretty well together. I think we're all up against a very difficult season, but I think you're probably right in the idea with the state. Cross our fingers, hope for the best, but I think we should see a nice, hopefully amicable budget season together.
So I just have a couple questions just until we move on to, I'm assuming. Oh, okay. Well, I definitely want to still hear from you. So you guys mentioned a couple things. So we're talking about level funding, presenting a level funded budget. Okay, level serviced, right. So that actually goes to my question, because, you know, you can level service. Obviously, prices have gone up, mainly in sped. Transportation always goes up. And now we're looking at a potential, like the circuit breaker is always the mystery number. And then we couple that with the fact that last year we even borrowed from free cash and that gap. And so I guess I know you said you haven't presented a number to the school committee, and I'm not holding you to anything, and I'm not asking for the budget number, but do we know what, like, just in terms of increases and unknowns, what that gap number is right now? Because it seems to me like, I mean, is it over 5 million? This is a big number because we've got the 3.2 or whatever, right, from circuit breaker, right, last revenue. Then we've got, let's say transportation always went up by what? 1 million at least? I'm throwing out arbitrary numbers, which is why I'm saying that, but I'm just going by history. And then sped always goes up, right? Out of service, district tuitions, that sort of stuff. So do we have an idea of level servicing, how much we don't know about? And I see a paper coming around. I'm not asking about the ice rink again. Did you? Great revenue source. Okay.
What I did, I brought a couple things specifically around tuitions and transportation.
Okay.
Those are usually the hot button.
I figured
couple of the
they
hot
would
button
be.
Ones. And so the one I handed out first is obviously transportation. It didn't go,
This
794.
doesn't look as scary as I expected it to.
No, correct. That it's still 7%, which I was hoping to keep it more closer to 5. But with increase in outplacement, et cetera,
Sorry.
it's not as bad as I expected it to be, quite frankly. So that is transportation. That's pretty set number that will be in the budget. That's not going to fluctuate too much.
Question about the first one?
No, I have a question about transportation.
Oh, go ahead.
So I just have a quick question about transportation. I just want to throw it out there. Have we thought about setting our own transportation at any point? Because I know that's like one of the biggest chunk, and we spoke about this yesterday. And this is something that I already have spoken to another council as well, that if not only we'll be able to have our own transportation, but it will also create more jobs for our city. Have we even, because I obviously I understand that it's going to be a huge investment up front, but it'll be so much in the long run. It'll be so much cheaper. We'll be not only saving on the budget, but also we'll be creating more jobs for our city, for our constituents.
Yeah. We've thought about it. We've discussed it. I run it. School department's in no place to buy 35 buses and hire all those drivers right now. I would almost think of it as like another department within the city, where, city oversees the purchase of the vehicles and the hiring and to service our students. I know just the big buses is 35 big buses. That alone is a huge task just to purchase them, especially brand new. Not to mention we have about probably 55 special ed, small vans, small buses as well that transport within and out. So we have talked about it. We haven't done anything. We haven't even cost out how much it would save, how much it wouldn't save.
I just feel that if at least we come up with a plan, it doesn't have to be for next year or this year, but something that we can come up with a plan. So in the long term, I feel that it may work out better if we start working on that. Is this something that has been brought out to the mayor at any point in time?
I know that was discussed. I had brought it up with the previous superintendent a while ago. The city of Worcester looked into it and actually got grants to create its own fleet. They were, I believe, all electric vehicles. So perhaps, never say no, right? So perhaps down the road, when we move through this budget season, I know Member Drew had also expressed some interest in that. Maybe that's something that we could look into. Right now, our office, our transportation person, you're looking at him right there. He also does our budget and a lot of facility stuff. So we want to keep him up and running until the end of this budget season. But I think there's always possibilities, right? And I know Member Keegan wanted to say something.
I was part of the transportation subcommittee last year, and we had a contractor come in and analyze this exact issue because we were concerned about the busing service, even not just the cost, but additionally the cost. And he determined that it was not in our best interest and our cost savings to bring it in-house. And so that's why we chose to go with NRT last year.
I'm sorry, who was this?
Do you remember the guy's name?
Rich Labrie is his name. He was a transportation consultant we had come in, go through our new contract, or actually go out to bid with us to write a new contract, et cetera. So he did a lot of the numbers. He did say he'd almost break even, but we could also, we could look again, or we could have him take a deeper look at that.
Thank you.
I think this kind of goes to like what I mentioned earlier about the long-term thoughtful planning, right? And I think the buses is something we should definitely look at, because in my research on the busing, similar to what your thought process was, I found that these buses usually have a life expectancy of about 15 years, and they're about $250,000, $300,000 per bus. There's definitely an upfront cost, but I don't know if that consultant forecasted out over 10 years and amortized, seeing what our break-even point would be to when we would see an actual return on that investment. Obviously, there's a level of employees that we have to play to, but I think there's definitely a conversation that we should have. I don't think it's going to happen this year, obviously, I think, but that's where that component is that we discussed about needing the council and the school committee to be able to kind of be working in tandem and thinking about how do we look at different items and get creative with different things. But onto the item that you sent over here was on the busing. That was the only thing that really jumped at me. We saw a couple of menial increases. There was one that was the decrease of the sped in district of $404,000, but then we see sped out of district grew almost $1 million. So we're seeing not only did we lose the net of the negative for the in district, we grew about $500,000 more of sped out of district. Is there any way for us as a community to be able to not limit it, because obviously we can't limit, we have to be able to provide those services by law, but is there classes, are there teachers or organizations that we can bring in that would help bring these things back into our community to help curve? Because if we're spending $1 million in salaries to bring back $2 million to the city, I look at that as a revenue generation. So I don't know if obviously I'm sure you guys are the experts. You may have had this discussion, but this is the first time I'm seeing it. So if you could elaborate a little on that, would be
We
great.
have, I'm sure Gina has.
Sure. So there's definitely programs that we want to streamline, solidify, build stronger. But there is definitely a cost that goes along with that to do that. So the upfront cost would be a 1-year fee to then build the capacity to bring those students back into district, which would cut down on out-of-district tuitions as well as transportation. So the cost savings doesn't come into play right away in year 1. You would potentially see those cost savings year 2, year 3, and beyond.
So if we're going to do that, can you show us the pricing of what it will cost this year for us to do that upfront. And that might be the conversation of a one-time spend where, and if you can forecast out year 2, 3, 4, what we could potentially be saving as a business is what the city is, how we can, see that long term. I think that's more palatable to everybody rather than saying, oh, we're going to go and pull another $1 million, $2 million out of free cash to fund the schools. Well, no, we're spending $1 million to get this program off the ground so that in year 3, we're seeing a return of 3 to 4 million, whatever that may, those are just arbitrary numbers.
Totally
but-
understand and absolutely can. And I appreciated the word you used when you said potential, because I think that's an important piece that we have to keep in mind when we're talking about bringing students back into district, is that's a process that we have to work with the parents of those students on. And ultimately they make, we build the program, we build the trust back for them to bring the students, but unless they agree to bring the student back, I can't force them back in because we have a program.
Right, but I think if we have that and we can show that we're doing it, and
Yes.
obviously it's a forecast, right?
Correct.
I mean, all of this is a forecast.
Correct.
But
Yep.
if we can say that we have this program, we're working on this program, people coming to start bringing their children back. I have a child who's on an IEP.
Yeah.
He's in district, obviously there's no issues,
Yep.
but there is, if there's potential there, I think we should try to explore everything that's possible. And, I think we are more than happy to try to help.
Excellent. Thank you.
And John, I'll add to that not only would we have the potential to bring people back in, again, potential if they're willing to and think it's a great idea, but would be sending less people out, because we would have that program, would have that, qualified program, or would be able to meet more kids' needs and not send them out in the first place. So that's a savings in itself.
And we did that years ago too. Maybe the interim superintendent remembers. There was some program, I think it was about 8 students, and they brought it in-house. You must remember, right? But it was such a great thing. I mean, I'm probably going back 6 or 7 years, but it was one particular set of services that we had like a group, and I'm pretty sure they all came back and we saved quite a bit. And I understand like the concern of everybody always having these rising costs every year, but to both of my counselors' points, we can't be short-sighted, right? If we're spending to save over the long run, it's not like we're saving every year. This budget continually increases on the city and the school side. So I just really feel like we have to look at these kind of out-of-the-box ideas to see what we can do, because every year it's the same thing. I don't anticipate the same, I'm looking for a good word, but the same cause for concerns we had last year and the same sort of crisis mentality we had, because it seems like it's cyclical. So there'll be a very bad year and then we're okay. And then there's a very bad year and then we're okay again. Like we learn from our mistakes, but it's never, it's just not, nothing's trending down, right? So, is something? Okay.
And maybe we can address this.
Student population?
Student
I knew you
population.
were going to, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
Right, exactly. And I know we'll address that, but I couldn't let that moment pass.
I meant costs.
Yeah.
I was alluding to costs, not potential uprising in costs. Are we looking, like, I know, who was it that mentioned the grants for the fleet? Was that you, Councilor Santos? Was the grants for the fleets of transportation? There was a grant.
It was committee, Doug McGrath. She mentioned that
There was-
Worcester used
Worcester used grants.
electric buses.
So, no, but do we have someone looking into all these different grants? I mean, I know SPED historically has a ton of grants available.
We have a large grant available, and that primarily funds staffing. But there's not an abundance of special ed grants available to us.
Do we have someone looking into all those potential grants, though, on the school side?
It's Gina and I
Okay.
are the ones that look into the grants. I will say that predominantly the grants that I've been seeing come up have to deal with CTE and vocational career pathways. That seems to be trending in terms of a lot of opportunity. So I'm excited for that. You mentioned grants. In terms of the entitlement grants that we get from federal funding, we do know that those will be level funded. when they come to the Commonwealth. And then when they get dispersed to the districts, there may be some variation determined by the demographics of our students, how much we can expect to get. So for those entitlement grants, we just got an update today. For some, it's going to be flat level. For some, it's going to be a decrease of about 7%. So small margins, but still we have several salaries in those grants that have increased. So that's one area. But we are seeking grants, but certainly not for the fleet of busing. That would be something that we would need to do separately. But a lot of them for CTE, for instance, there's one out now that could fund a potential annex to be built on a high school, which could increase enrollment and program, which is exciting. And so we're certainly taking advantage of the smaller ones and then thinking about what are those larger ones that we're ready for.
I think that's good. And I, too, would echo the sentiments for that several people brought up in terms of getting our own buses. There's a special part in my heart that still has PTSD from COVID and NRT dealings. So I think not only keeping costs down, but having, you know, the control over our own fleet would really be a good thing. I know we were held hostage in a couple situations, and I'm pretty sure that was the word I used with the gentleman who represented NRT at that time. So I do think that's something worth pursuing. And by your own testament, I guess it's something that would come from the city, right? Not necessarily a school committee. So feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure the mayor would be open to it if it's going to present a cost savings. Like I said, we can't be scared of the original number if it's going to project savings over however many years. Like we just can't be short-sighted on these things. We need something just as a revenue generator for the schools, right? Or savings. Yeah. Yeah.
And those funds that we may be saving in the long run, we can invest in other programs needed.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Mary Beth just mentioned, you know, the increasing in students, that we may need new schools, more teachers, and we start naming it and we want and on the list. But I feel that this is a great opportunity. I just want to take the time of saying that being here and working with you guys is amazing, because I feel that we're moving forward and we are going to continue to move forward in the city. Teamwork matters so much, and if we work together, I think we start seeing the difference and seeing better things for us and for our kids, obviously.
Do you have anything on this line item, or do we want to move to the next?
On the timeline and
Yeah.
budget, it was a question on the CTE.
Sure.
So that's the vocational, right? And as a plumber, I love vocational. I went to Greater Lawrence Tech. With Greater Lawrence Tech kind of going to more of a lottery system now, all vocational schools, I mean, I think it would behoove us as a community to have more of these programs. Do we have currently some programming going? I don't know enough about that. My son's in 6th grade. I haven't figured out what's
Yes, I'd
going on
love
up
to
there
talk
yet.
about
but-
that. So we've always had CTE programming. Just this year is our first year with an official Chapter 74 designation for 5 programs, which moves us up into the upper echelon of vocational education and training. So we have radio and TV broadcasting, marketing and accounting, computer science, early education and care, and biotechnology are our Chapter 74 programs. We also offer robotics and automation, which is a CTE program, but not classified as the vocational Chapter 74. So there is an application process that we need to go through in order to be established as such. And it's beneficial to us because we're offering training to our students. We also see some of the benefits in our foundation funding. And because we have that 5th program, this year we needed to offer an exploratory program to grade 9 students, almost like they do at GLTS, where they move through the
Yep,
programs.
I did the 10 courses. Yep.
And so we have a lottery system too. We are able to accommodate everyone because we have the flexibility to adjust class size and sections at this point, but we are looking to add additional programs moving forward. the programs we have are expanding to the point where we need to add additional teachers to accommodate all the interest, which is very exciting, and externship opportunities. So we're thrilled about that too. And we also have the After Dark partnership with GLTS, where the students come to us for academics in the morning and then travel over to get the afternoon version of vocational training in some areas too.
So on this, it's, I don't want to call it revenue generation, but with
Right.
having the CT, we do get more funding, and this does become its own, it almost pays for itself in a way. So it's not.
It does, right. And that's the purpose behind it, is the understanding that specialty programming comes with additional costs. And so the state is providing for that by giving us additional funds per student. So just this year to last, I know Ian and I have been doing the exact same calculations in neighboring offices today. But this year, we had 770 students at the high school that were classified for that vocational training. Do you have the FY26 number? It's in my bag. And I think we had about 520 last year. And so that's the inclusion of the exploratory and expanded pathways. So those students alone, the foundational funding for those 770 students from the high school was $13,896,159, as opposed to the 1,148 high school students that were not classified in that group. That cluster's funding was $14 million and some odd dollars. So you can see there is a differential there.
The pupil difference is $5,800. Just
Per student.
Okay, so let's get more classes, is that what you're saying?
Right. I think we did
All right.
well this year too, advertising with the 7th and 8th graders. The 8th graders came and spent a day going through mock versions of all the programs. So instead of Methuen minutes for the video production, they did Methuen seconds. So that helped create some buzz around that and helped populate the courses. So there's a lot of excitement there.
Excellent. I think that's great, because looking at just what you've given here between the education and the offsets and this increase, I mean, I'm assuming we're looking at like a 15% increase across the board on our budget.
Well, and at the same time, I will mention, because it was mentioned earlier, that our enrollment is down, as it is across the state. So across the state, we're down 15,000 students in public education. And so in Methuen, we're down 214 students from last year to this year. And I pulled our comparable districts. So Revere's down 323, Everett 339, Malden 247, Andover 195, Andover's down 94. So it's a trend that there has been a slight decline up and down, as you had mentioned, but this is about half the rate that it was back in FY22, so around the pandemic. So there's a significant decrease that we're seeing. So you're correct, some of our vocational enrollment helped to offset that. It would have been much more severe if we didn't have that.
I'm assuming we may see this trend go back up now that, I have a child who's a COVID baby. She's going to be going into school next year. I think a lot of people I know have kids in that age range.
The COVID baby's coming up.
COVID
Is that
baby's
what
coming
the-
up.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll
we'll
check
see.
back up, but I think we should use this time. There might be a downturn to try to reset and work what we can. So, all right, I'm good.
Do you have any other questions before we move on to the next one? No. So the next item on our agenda is timeline and budget objectives. And I know it's hard to give a timeline. And I also know that you said that you haven't presented the budget yet. What is the estimate of the date that budget will be presented to the school committee? Do you know yet?
We had estimated April 16th.
Great.
Next week.
That's great.
That,
Right around
that was our rough date that we had all agreed upon. But we'll be ready. So we'd like to get it out and get working on it publicly.
And we put budget objectives here, but I guess I would wonder the budget objectives, like I think you kind of alluded to the fact, right? We're not going for everything this year, right? We're starting with what we can start with level servicing, and then we're going to have an a la carte menu, which is what it used to be. As far as I remember, it was always kind of our needs, right? And then our wants. And I hate to say want because I know some of those positions are definitely needed or some of the items are definitely needed, but, to break it up that way. So do we feel good about what we're presenting on April 16th? Do we, any light you want to shed on that?
It'll be a difficult budget season.
That's great.
I don't want to say I feel awful about it or anything like that, because I think that we're coming from a good place. We're at least working together, and we're not pointing fingers at each other, and no one's yelling at you guys before you even saw our budget. And you're like, so, I mean, I think we're,
Oh my God.
I think we're definitely,
I'm happy he's on this side this year. I am so happy. Can't even tell you.
so I mean, it'll be a difficult budget year, but I mean, we can all get along. We can get there. We're going to get there. We get there every year.
Yeah.
Let's just not fight this time. You're like,
Have you
not that I
got,
ever fight. I keep my mouth shut.
have you got your number from the city yet?
We got a starting point, the minimum contribution that they would need to provide.
Okay, so you haven't got necessarily the
We haven't
final
gone
number
through the whole process
Okay.
yet, no.
yet. Okay.
But that, I will say the list of a la carte asks is very short. The presentation, we're trying to be very clear and succinct and explaining the services we have, why they're important. Here are a few asks, and then from there, I think will be the challenging piece.
Do you prepare as well, and I hate to even suggest this, you must though, like if the number comes in under, have you looked at the path of least damage for cutting the budget if it needs to come to that?
Not yet.
Okay. I mean, listen, I'm as optimistic as
Once we
anybody
have
else,
something I'm
but
comfortable presenting to school committee, then we can start looking at next steps, or whether we're adding or detracting, But I want to at least get that initial one out there first and
Sure.
see how school committee feels, and, they may have some ideas on where we can trim and where we can't.
okay. Fair enough. Any questions? Either of you? No. Oh, sure.
Folks. A question and a suggestion. And I'm sorry, I didn't watch the complete city council meeting the other night. And I know there was a proposal about our surplus buildings. Could you fill us in where that stands? Did it pass on first read? This would be turning over, Courier and
Pleasant
PV.
Valley.
Yeah. Could you fill us in? I'm sorry, I didn't get
It did pass, right?
it. Did
So
pass.
those two, they passed on the first read. They'll come back up with the next one for the second read. From the solicitor's
I know there was
judgment was opinion that once the buildings are declared surplus, the items that were put onto it don't have to be recognized. I believe it's everybody who was at this table was in agreement that those dollars that are from those sales should go back into fixing capital improvements at the schools.
Perfect.
And I believe that the mayor is on board with that also. I don't want to speak for him.
No, he has said how he had hoped to use that money to repair the Timony roof, which is in dire need of repair.
And unfortunately, the mayor wasn't here last
Yeah,
meeting, but we also kind of collectively knew, obviously, he'd be back for the second read. So we'll have more.
Yeah. And we
think-
certainly
Yeah, and
appreciate
the
that support.
once it goes back through and it comes back up and there's an actual sale and somebody wants to come buy those properties, I guess when that happens, at that point, there can be earmarks placed on them from the council or the mayor for those buildings, but that will have to wait until those buildings are actually sold. So we're just taking ownership of them and
Right.
taking,
First step one.
and we're taking the $50,000 upkeep on them on the city side, which is just taking money from the left pocket, putting it in the right
Which is
pocket.
how it was explained to
It was
us,
explained to
sure.
me after the fact, but that was my understanding of the whole thing.
Well, I'm glad to hear first read, and hopefully the second one will go easily. The one thing I do want to say that I think what we always need to do is lean on our local delegation. So anything we can do to reach out to our elected officials in Boston, because they're in the thick of it. You know, we don't have all those numbers yet. And I know Superintendent sent a letter to Senator Payano recently. So anything we can do to get them on board to support whatever the governor is going to do with the circuit breaker would be awesome. Maybe we can even put a letter together as two bodies.
We could.
Yeah, and that would be something new and different, right? Yeah, okay.
Could bring that to the next meeting, Member Dunn.
Yeah, let's think about that, huh? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Do we want to set a next meeting? I think we may want to meet in between, or do we want to set a next collective meeting?
I feel like we should meet.
I would set a meeting for us because our finance things are, I don't have our budgeting schedule with us. I don't know if you do or you have it in an email,
I do have it
Yes,
in
I
an email.
do.
but we should set one for all of us to be
For
looking at the
all
other
of
departments
us?
for
For
this
the
this
three
year
of us.
to looking at those departments. But I think after their budget is presented,
We'll float around.
we should maybe have a meeting that following week, that school vacation week. I don't want to make you guys, let you guys go have a break. Maybe towards the end of the month, we do meet again,
As long as it's
once
before
it's kind of
our first
established and
budget hearing, I would prefer.
Yeah.
And I know it'll be a short timeline, but if we can do it right after vacation, maybe, because I think the first budget hearing I want to say is May 8th, maybe? 16? I didn't commit them to memory yet. They are, which I'm happy about. I'm very happy about that.
I mean, maybe
Blow it
having,
up. So May 11th
I mean, we could
is
meet
the
the
first.
27th. I personally would like to meet, not having another meeting on the back end of us. Nothing to you guys. But so that we can actually get into some nitty gritty, have some real conversations. So it's not like, oh, we're rushing because we have a city council meeting right after this.
Totally agreed. These 2 weeks
Yeah.
were like, there was something every day.
Right.
Just for
So I'm thinking maybe the 27th. At that point, it's been out there. No, Ian's shaking. No.
And we'll have to
I'm only
check.
shaking my head no because we presented the 16th, got vacation the following week. School committee is going to need days for budget meetings to go over, rehash.
Okay.
Have you set your budget meeting?
We threw out some
Like your budget workshop
tentative,
meeting?
and I know one of them was the 20. We have a meeting on the 27th, which we can discuss budget, but we're going to need additional budget meetings that week as
So I
well.
would suggest, let's schedule one for our finance
On the
meeting.
27th,
And then I
or-
will reach out the same way we did and find a date as soon as they,
We could set ours, what, 20? No, we still need
No, 20th
items
is-
on the budget.
20th, we have our regular meeting too, don't we?
Right. I have no problem with our meeting being on the back end of a council meeting. Why don't,
What's April 23rd?
oh, our meeting
no.
is the 21st. Why don't we'll set that one after so we can keep moving on we'll figure out those logistics. But with them, on the school committee side, I think we should, do you guys have a suggested date you'd like to meet?
Like a tentative date, and then we can just confirm it?
On your end, was it,
Yeah, why don't we map out what our plans would be, and then we can reach out to give you a couple of options and see if they work.
Okay.
okay,
So
yeah,
will
I'd definitely
we-
like to before our budget hearings start in the middle of May, maybe like that first week of May would
And
be
we
an
can try to
ideal.
circulate those early for the public too, if anybody wants to
Yep.
come in and speak, or if anybody else wants to join, even from the school committee, if they want to add their 2 cents, whatever. We'll make sure, since we're not giving a date now, to publicize it appropriately.
Absolutely.
And have it out soon enough, so that whoever's interested can join in. Anything else? I know there is another meeting coming in. Well, thank you all again. I really do appreciate this. I think it was a great first step, and I wish we had done it last year. So, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody? Do you guys have to adjourn? No?
Aye.
Okay, first joint meeting of the Methuen
Success.
Finance Committee with the school committee and the council on the books. Meeting is adjourned at 5:45.
Charter Review Committee to order. The time is 6 o'clock p.m., Thursday, April 9th, 2026. I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Okay. Steve Saba,
Here.
Eleni Garatimos,
Here.
Jen Canaan,
Here.
John Cummings,
Here.
Dennis Zaglia,
Here.
Sharon Pollard. Present. And Ian Gusson,
Present.
all present.
All present. Excellent. Tonight's public hearing is an open discussion from the public, comments regarding the amended charter that we're working on to present to the city. And at this time, I'll ask if there is anybody in attendance who would like to speak. Okay, hearing none, I will make note that Marilyn Friedman is in the audience, and she did give us a list of corrections, grammar, words omitted that we're going to review. Thank you, Marilyn, for that.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Because that's very helpful. I mean, we've read through this about 400 times,
Yes.
but there are still some issues here, so we will work on that. And as soon as this meeting ends, we're going to go at 6:30 into a meeting of the Charter Review Committee to go through the charter and a few other issues. Anybody have any comments on the committee themselves?
No, but I do want to recognize that we have the newly elected Central District Council, Janelle DeSantos, here in attendance.
Janelle, yes, thank you. Thank you. And also in attendance, of course, is our solicitor, Paul. Okay, so if there's no other discussion, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We will be back at 6:30.
Thank you.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it unanimously.
Break it up.
Meeting of the Methuen Charter Review Committee to order. It is Thursday, April 9th, 2026. The time is 6:30 p.m., and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Steve Saber.
Here.
Lenny Veritimos.
Here.
Jennifer Canan.
Here.
John Cummings.
Here.
Dennis DeZoglio.
Here.
Sharon Pollard. Ian Gosselin.
Present.
All present.
All present. Now I need a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Here we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Unanimous. Public participation. Is there anyone present who would like to speak? Okay, hearing none. The next item is to accept the minutes of the March 19th meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, and now the discussion to vote on the final revisions. And I wanted to just follow up on this. We were asked to, we did forward the charter as written to the city council, to the mayor's office, and asking for any input. And I did follow up, Dennis, and I did meet with the mayor yesterday to have a discussion. And we also want to discuss further with the council, because I believe that our job here is we want to get this right. And by getting this right, we should have a document that maybe nobody's 100% happy with, because maybe they think someone else has more power than the other. But the goal here is to come up with a charter that will help drive and guide the city for the foreseeable future. And I think our goal should be, and I think we should put some pressure on the council and the mayor's office to approve what we present to them in its whole without editing, because once you start editing, it makes a mess. And once you start editing one side, the other side's not going to like it. We've given ample opportunity for the council, the mayor's office. We heard input from the school committee, and we continue to have the door open for more information until the day we present this. So I think that's what we should be shooting for here, is to give a charter that they can just look at and say, look, a lot of work went in, and let's approve it. Okay. So with that having been said, we did meet with the mayor, and he did have some concerns. He did ask us to consider a few changes, specifically with the legal department, the law department that we are creating, the newly created law department. And he feels that, there are situations where they don't want to have a law department. Right now, the solicitor works under the oversight of the city council. And right now, the assistant solicitor and any other assistant solicitors and the clerk of the solicitor works under the authority of the mayor. That's not healthy. It's clearly not healthy. So what we need to do is move those assistants away from the mayor under the solicitor, but without leaving the mayor high and dry. Okay, so what I want to remind everybody, and I think this is important right now, because we're going to be perfectly honest and understand there's been a lot of tension between the council and the mayor's office. It's not healthy for the city. There's never going to be a perfect resolution and a perfect charter, but we have to come up with something that can be followed and will make sense. So if we're going to take away the legal staff, with the exception of the city, from the mayor's office, we need to give them assurances that they're not losing even that ear. So, for instance, if they go to the solicitor and say, hey, we need you to help us with something, and the solicitor says, no, I'm not going to do that, we get a problem. And that should never be the case. okay? And if they speak with their assistant solicitor, right now who's under their direction, that assistant solicitor still answers as a solicitor. And if the solicitor's instructions are, no, don't work with them, we got a problem here. And then the mayor's office has no recourse, okay? So in order for them, and again, I come from the city council side, and we've got people that come from the mayor's side, so this is a very healthy situation here where we can see both sides of it. But in order for the mayor to be okay with giving up the legal staff, we have to do something that's going to make it fair for both sides. Okay, so Dennis and I'm going to let you speak too, Dennis, because Dennis and I, we really felt that, okay, we're hearing what you're saying, but we're going to, ask this committee to do a little more work and let's review a little bit more and see what we can do to alleviate that concern. And Dennis, go right ahead, because you were in that conversation.
I just wanted to give a real example of the issue that was kind of discussed and how the revisions don't help the situation. I think you may recall that when I was mayor, I had a situation where I wanted to dismiss the DPW director. I did that, and he invoked 9-10, which allowed him to go to the city council and overrule my decision. And so when we did that, I asked the city solicitor, to help me, make my case to the city council. He said he couldn't do that, and that I would need to hire a counsel, an outside counsel, to help me with that presentation. And so I did that because under the charter, I could then use funds that we had. Yeah. I hired somebody to come in. Now, under what we've written here, it would have to be approved by the city council. So here I am, I get rejected by the city council. I want to get someone to help me, represent me to the city council. And then the city council, well, no, you can't do that because they control whether or not I can hire a city solicitor. So you can see how that could be, it puts us in a deadlock situation. And so there needs to be some way that we do this so that the mayor still has access to legal advice, at the same time respecting the desire to keep the city solicitor under the auspices of the city council, which I think we all kind of decided was the only viable way. So there needs to be some kind of compromise. I'm not sure exactly what it needs to look like, but that gives you a real example of how what we proposed may cause some conflict of interest among the process or during the process.
So, with that having been said, I think tonight we should kind of discuss it. And then when we leave tonight, come back to another meeting, and hopefully everybody has a chance to consider what's being said here to see how we can address that. And one thing I do want to ask before I pass it on, 9-10, overruling of the mayor, I'm finding, did we take that out or is that in here? I just, can someone please look? I'm looking too. Oh, was that in the rules and?
No, that's the old one.
So if the mayor fires a department head, they can, that's what I'm looking for.
That's where we're looking to see if it's still, if we took it out of this version.
What was the name? What was the
The
name?
old version
Said.
was 9-10.
10. But I'm not seeing it in the new version.
Yeah, right.
Of the new charter?
Old charter.
The removals and suspensions, 9-10.
Read it. Can you just read that?
In the new one, I believe it's 1013,
Okay,
section C.
that's what I was looking
Speaks
for.
to removal, I believe.
Yes.
There we go, thank
38.
you.
Yes.
Page 38.
It says removal. It says a written notice of intent to remove a statement of cause or causes therefore shall be delivered by registered mail to the last known address of the person sought to be removed. Number 2, within 5 days of the delivery of such notice, the officer or employee may request a public or closed hearing to be held at the city council and which may be represented by counsel who should be entitled to present evidence, call to witness, and to question any witness appearing at the hearing, Such hearings shall be conducted under the rules of evidence. 3, between 1 and 10 days after the public and closed hearings is adjourned, the city council should direct the appointing authority to take action by either removing the officer or employee or notifying him the notice has been rescinded, which they did by vote. After delivering the notice, the intent to remove if the officer or employee fails to request a hearing, the appointing authority shall take final action either by removing the officer or employee or notify him the notice has been rescinded. So that was the provision that was used, and as you can see, the employee could get a counselor. I couldn't because the city solicitor represented the city council, and yet and I was able to hire someone who was able to help me. How do we ensure the ability to do that?
Well, I do have a comment. So I remember when Councilor Saber was newly elected, I happened to be the chair that year, and there was a lot going on in the city regarding the police contract when then Mayor Jujuga announced that we may have a problem with the contract. And it was brought to light that, it was a superior officer contract. At that time, the current city solicitor was actually in the room negotiating during, the collective bargaining agreements as is required. Councilor Saber had felt that he wanted to be able to call or speak to legal, and we did have that, the council, as a council employee, he had the ability that had the city solicitor under him. But as a new council, he struggled with, I need somebody non-biased, somebody that I can just ask legal questions to so that we can make informed decisions. So he ended up finding a very well-respected attorney and called them up and said, would you help us, the city council, you're not the city solicitor, but if we have questions pertaining to this and the attorney may have had to recuse himself on certain issues because he was involved. And he came to the council and he brought an ordinance forward, and he also brought a pay structure forward because of course you have to let the public know where you're getting the funds from. And the then mayor has to also agree to allow that to happen, and he did. So I was thinking, if that's the case, why couldn't we then do something very similar, okay, to allow the mayor to do the same thing? Whereas the council could not say, no, you can't. I don't know what that answer looks like, but I think a provision almost, I'd have to probably go and look at Councilor Saber's resolution that he brought forward to the council that says we want to identify a firm, a person, maybe it's a person, and like say Attorney Smith, or Law Office of Attorney Smith. If the mayor deems that he needs to go out and have, maybe he has a difference of opinion, they don't fight. And hopefully if he says, they're pounding me on this, I really want to talk to somebody that I can kind of get maybe a legal opinion on, that has no weight really, because the solicitor through our charter is the basic weight of the community. However, that lawyer could call up, I'm just going to use Paul as an example because he's here and he's our solicitor, and they would talk amongst themselves as two professionals, say, listen, this guy feels or this woman feels that, you're not right. Explain to me. And if he says, oh, I adamantly am against you, Paul, I completely disagree with what you're doing. Now he can go back to the mayor, then maybe they come here in front of the council and say, listen, we are completely in disagreement with your attorney, and we're not saying there's anything wrong, but we have a complete disagreement. That gives the mayor a chance to, like you did, because if you think about it, you were the mayor from 93 to 99. That happened once. So again, and I don't want to discredit that, but I think if that's this person's concern in the office, that may not be, something that requires him to have authority over the other people, because we had a big discussion that if we want a strong city, today and 30 years from now, because this is probably if this passes, because we're not having any silliness going on, then we could turn around and say the Department of Law is required not for the council, not for the mayor, but for the city. So we understand that you might say that Dennis DeZoglio has brought something to light, and at the time, and that was how many years ago, Steve, that you had that problem? That was in
2018.
2018, so it hasn't really happened that the council needs to seek outside firm, but maybe we could look at something and put that in the charter.
Well, if I could, Mr. Chair, to respond, and well, thinking about the dilemma we're doing, could it be as simple as this? We have the language, where it talks about policy procedures for engaging outside legal counsel.
Remind us.
I'm
Page
at
9.
D.
Section D.
Page 9, yeah.
2-8D.
What if we just excluded the city council and the mayor from this provision? I mean, the intent was to prevent like a department head or commission, like the ZBA getting your own attorney or a community development board. And if the city council and the mayor are excluded or, from this provision, then, we have, I don't call it status quo, but they both have the potential of bringing in, like Steve did on the issue,
Yes.
or like the mayor, what I did when I did mine. So
Yes.
could it be as simple as just
I think
excluding?
you may be correct,
Onto
because
something.
our intent was to prevent departments from going out, not necessarily to handcuff the mayor or handcuff the city council. So that may be just an easy, elegant way to solve the issue.
Go ahead, Sharon.
In addition to that issue, and I think Dennis has come up with maybe a good compromise on that, or you, the mayor, and Steve, whoever. But the problem goes a little bit beyond that. And if you were to look at the last paragraph of Section D on page 9, when you read this, it basically says, with all due respect to the present city solicitor, who's a great guy, but you're not going to be here forever, so we're going to write this as
I
if...
didn't write this, just so
I know you
want to be
didn't.
clear.
But it gives the city solicitor almost the powers of the mayor and the city council, in that the city solicitor is the one who makes the determination.
No,
I think we need to adjust that.
no, he just reviews it and then he provides it to the city council.
Yeah,
When you first looked at it,
But
right.
that's not the mayor. I agree if you want to take the mayor
Yeah.
and the city council out of that, but I think we need to leave the department heads in there. So if the department head, let's just say, I'm just going to use the department, let's say community development, and they want to go out and hire some sort of attorney, land use attorney, then they could send it to the city solicitor and say, we want to go hire ABC attorneys because they're great in land use. But they have to be a process. So they send it to the solicitor. If the solicitor says, I have no problem, then it should go to the council. And we could even put the mayor's name in there to say the mayor and the council to let everybody know. Because the mayor might say, I didn't know he was hiring a land use attorney. So I think we could add the mayor's name to that. Okay, so I'll just give you a scenario. Community development director wants to go hire a land use attorney to develop some acreage in Methuen. Instead of them going out, they have to send Paul or a designee in the city solicitor's office and say, I'd like to hire ABC. Right now, it looks like it's about a $5,000 consultation. And, rather than have your office, because we need this, it goes to both council and mayor. Council and mayor brings us here, take a vote, we have no problem. And again, if everybody's on the same page, no problem.
Or does it go to the solicitor who would then give his
That
recommendation?
says right here, says it right
Right, all
here.
right, so we're not going to take that out.
No.
So he has to present it, but with his recommendation or
Yeah.
opposition, but he has to present it. I think we have to make sure that's
do that.
clear.
Yeah, he provides a recommendation.
City
Okay.
solicitor be able to say to the mayor.
Who would make the recommendation to the mayor and city council, and then for procedural, the city council could approve, and then the mayor would also approve?
So it says on the final, okay, so again, I'll
Oh, yeah, exactly.
show rest.
I mean, the bottom line is, Mr. Chairman, if I may, should the city solicitor be telling the mayor, no, you can't go higher, you've got this dilemma?
No, we're taking that out. I think we're in agreement, right?
I think what Dennis is recommending is that the mayor be inserted in a few
And city
places.
council
Yeah,
should be
right,
taken out.
exactly.
They both should.
If I could, I mean, the paragraphs, I agree. I think what you're suggesting works, and I see it in two different locations.
Where?
One is that last paragraph in D, where it says the city solicitor shall review the request and provide a recommendation to the city council. Maybe it just has to be to the city, to the mayor and the city.
I wrote that on
mayor and the
mine,
city
yeah.
council. And then on the paragraph before, under C, we were talking about the city solicitor hiring staff.
Yes.
Since it's a budgetary issue for both the council and the mayor, perhaps like at the bottom of page 8, where it said the city solicitor may recommend to the city council the appointment of additional personnel. What if it said the city solicitor may recommend to the mayor and the city council that they hire some?
The only thing, and here's my issue, the only thing there is, that is the Department of Law. Now, and I know we in nauseam, and this is why, like, again, I appreciate you two going into the mayor's office, but we also had a meeting here with every stakeholder in the city. And so as far as the Department of Law, the issue with this charter, it has to talk about, what the department is. And I think if you're talking about the mayor being able, if there is an issue with the mayor, okay, then I think we should address how he could resolve that. Other than that, if you don't mind, indulge me on why do you think that the mayor should, recommend to the appointment of...
No, I don't recommend, just we recommend to the mayor and the city council, not just the city council. The mayor would also, we recommend we hire Joe Below to be a city assistant city solicitor.
Yes.
Well, the council says yes. Shouldn't the mayor also say, yeah, that makes sense to me too?
No. But let me add one thing. I mean, it's a budgetary issue as well. I mean, you're basically allowing everybody but the mayor by this paragraph.
Wait, what paragraph you on? The same one?
I'm
Dennis
sorry,
was
the
on?
one that Dennis was just talking
Okay.
about
The bottom
on
of
page
page.
8, the bottom of page 8. You're allowing everybody but the mayor to make an impact on the budget.
Can I make a
I mean, you're
recommendation?
basically
guys?
saying you can add more personnel, the city council can decide to do that, and the mayor's like, whoa, wait a minute, I've got budget busters here. We don't have the money to add, 2 additional lawyers or what have you, but
I just want, explain like what you would like that to see, because just tell me what you envision that to say, because I might not have a problem there, because again, I just don't want, like the mayor, perfect example, as you know, the other night there was a person that the mayor had vetted, and they should.
Yeah.
It went through whatever, and now the next thing was the appointment of the city council. Okay, so that's how that works. How would you like to see that here?
I would, my suggestion would
Yes.
be that where it says the city solicitor may recommend, I would put to the mayor and the city council.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and I mean, and if, and
That's a big.
I'm just thinking the mayor is in charge of initially
Yes,
the budget
yes.
for the city, that you want that person to have at least some
Yes.
input into
Yes.
additional hires.
We did talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
But as long as, again, I'm not sure, Lisa, but when the city council, obviously you are an employee of the city council. I believe the mayor, he must have had to have been involved in that. I just don't remember offhand.
Involved in my hiring?
Not the hiring, the fact that, I know that
The mayor would have to provide money, though.
Right.
There has to be money budgeted for my position.
yeah?
The city council can't appropriate money.
I know
Right,
not appropriate money, but about her position, if the city council, because we actually,
No, there was money left in the budget because the position hadn't been filled.
Yeah, 3 places.
That's how they were allowed to
when
hire
you
me.
did, so when Council Saber originally did his home rule petition,
Yes.
actually that has to be signed by the mayor before it goes to the.
It does.
Okay,
Yes, correct.
all right. So then I just want to talk about process and procedure.
Yep.
So that would have had to have had mayor oral approval. So yes, I don't think that would be a bad idea.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Right.
This section, the Department of Law, I see 4 different subjects here, 4 different issues we want to deal with. And right now, we're kind of bouncing around, and I think that, why don't we, like for instance,
Right.
the selection of the solicitor and the assistants, I'd like to talk about how that
Where are you,
happens.
Steve?
Well, the whole thing, but what I'm saying, I'd like to go to the end first, the final paragraph, and let's first determine how the process works for department heads who are requesting, or the solicitor wanting to request outside legal counsel. Let's address that first, and then let's go up and say, okay, if we're going to take the mayor and the council out of that, how is that going to work? In other words, does that open up another loophole where the mayor can hire an outside city solicitor for his entire term to battle, or is it going to be for a specific reason? Same thing with the council. So, well, we gotta address it. But what I'm saying, why don't we first? The easiest part here is the section that begins with the mayor, city council, city solicitor, or a department head. All right, why don't we address that paragraph first and see if we can clean that one up?
Yes.
Paragraph, section D, the second paragraph. Because that sounds like an easy one.
So Mr. Chair, can we just eliminate so authorize the hiring outside counsel, eliminate city council and mayor, and just say outside counsel by the city solicitor, school department, and chairperson of independent boards and commissions?
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so do we want to try to word it clearly right now? I'm not sure if that was the...
No, because there was an ordinance. I mean, that's why we put it in here, from the ordinance.
There is, so we're seconding it. I'm still not clear on what the motion is on specifically.
So if you look at D, it's going to say exactly this: policy and procedure for engaging outside legal counsel / authorizing for hiring outside counsel by the city solicitor, school department, or chairperson of an independent board or commission. Any request to engage outside legal counsel must follow the procedure below. So we crossed out city council and mayor. But we should address your concern to say, in the event that the mayor or the city council needs to seek outside counsel, then what we'll do is we'll figure out tonight what the best way
All right,
to
so
do
let's agree on that first.
We did.
Okay, so any other discussion on that?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. We'll do it. Ian is a no, everyone else is a yes, for the record. Now, I do want to ask something. I know what Ian's getting to.
Yes.
We're talking about the school department, but later on in this charter, we talk about if the mayor wants to consolidate, this is what has to happen. So right now, unless I'm missing something, the school department still has a separate legal department. Right? We haven't changed that yet, unless the mayor acts to consolidate. So why are we referring this, the school department, why are we including the school department in here if they have their own legal department until the mayor consolidates?
No, well, I want to hear from Ian too.
So
but
go ahead, Leanne,
okay.
is that, go ahead
It's
then.
my understanding there's at least 2 state laws that say school committee can hire their own legal. I would not recommend us doing this just to circumvent or go against state law. I imagine they wrote it for a reason. That's the only reason I think if it's in state law already that they can hire their own.
Yes.
I don't think it should be here.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and that's for another, that's the other section too, but as far as right now, does it belong there?
But the point is, and I know we've said this a lot, and I just want to make sure this gets out there in one of the final meetings we have, notwithstanding state law or any statutory requirements, the school department absolutely can go and get their own attorneys. They have done it for years. There was an issue that was brought up. I was watching one of the meetings, and there was something about them spending money on outside attorneys where work could have been done in-house here. That is why we expanded the city solicitor's office. We have never had 1 city solicitor and 2 assistants. We want to do that, again, I'm going to say it, to strengthen our community, including the schools. We are all one. So if the school department may have incidental issues that they can use our legal department, we want them to use that versus going out and hiring LBJ, law firm just to do incidental things that they could do. Yes, we don't want to interfere with their legal rights, their statutory rights, their Mass General Law rights. We don't want to interfere with that. But if there is issues, then they have to use our attorney.
Okay,
That's the way you
but
bring it in.
I don't, again, that's kind of walking a very fine line. Right now, and when we pass this, if this gets passed, right now, school department has their own legal.
No, wait, excuse me. I want clarification on
Let's
that.
get that confirmed right
Paul,
now.
they have their legal departments for special education and the statutory.
They use outside counsel.
That's
They can
correct.
still use outside counsel.
Yes.
But right now, they hire their own attorneys and their own outside counsel.
For some things, some people talk to me, but
So if they always have the option to go to you and say, we need some help, right?
yes.
So if this charter were to be approved today, as we've written it, then, and taking out just this one section, how clear is it? The school department has their own attorneys.
They have a statutory, there's a
Right.
statute
That's
that
right.
allows them to hire outside
So if that's the case,
State
I don't
statute.
believe it belongs in here, reference to the school department.
But you're not understanding.
You're saying if they choose to.
No, I'm just saying the headline D specifically says policy and procedure for engaging outside legal counsel. Again, not within their statutory right. Remember we had that issue here in Methuen and it cost us $1 million and nobody knew about it. Okay, so that is why the council back in 2013 came up with the outside legal and just wants whoever the city solicitor is to bring to the attention of the council and the mayor that there was a time where, again, maybe a board hired an outside attorney. The mayor didn't even know about it. So my point is, this just says to them, you're not dampering anything the school department does. They have the right. They know their rights, obviously, right? You guys know what your rights are. And they can do that. But if there's something, say a kid trips over, God forbid, something and breaks their leg on the playground, they can use our city attorney here. And if he decides that I might have to go after a personal injury lawyer, that's the decision of his office. And this is what it's costing us, $0. But $500,000, and again, I'm just hearing what we had heard by some discussion during budget time. There was a lot of money spent on outside legal fees that could have been put towards the education of the children, the teachers' pay, and whatever. So that's why I think that should stay.
I don't, go ahead, Dennis.
I just want to concur. I think Jen described it perfectly. If the city solicitor says they can't handle it, then they get their outside counsel. They come here, they say, okay, because I can't handle it, it's a specialized thing or whatever it might be.
Right.
But it could save us money, trying to decide and not having to just someone else decides we should go outside.
Right.
They need to have a public process, if you're going to call
So
it that, to
who's
decide
going-
outside.
Who's going to determine when it gets a little finer there where,
City council and the mayor.
and the school department, the school lawyer feels that, no, we need somebody that
What school lawyer? Can you identify?
the school department determines that the legal team for the school department, for the school committee, determines that we need an outside lawyer who handles this because it really has to do with education. At what point does the state law trigger? Or is this going to be
They
opening?
can do it anytime.
Huh?
First of all, the school committee has no legal department.
Right.
They only have outside counsel. They're allowed to use outside counsel for collective bargaining purposes up to a maximum of $25,000 a year without further approval by the mayor. And then for other issues, it's unlimited. So like special ed or student discipline or things like that, they can hire outside counsel to do that. And they have a couple contracts with folks to do that. And
So then at what point would
they're rather
they,
large.
would this require them to go to you? Or to go to the city and say, we need outside legal
I mean,
counsel?
somebody has to make the decision. All I'll say is typically you leave the decision as to whether to hire lawyers to lawyers, but you can certainly have the mayor and city council do it jointly, but if I'm not sure that works really well here.
Well, that
is
was
what
my
I would
question.
say.
My question was, what dictates when the school committee needs to come to you as opposed to just bringing in their specialist?
You mean now?
Yeah.
Nothing. They don't come to me ever.
What if,
They take a vote. The school committee votes to hire legal counsel or authorize the superintendent to engage counsel. They don't have to use.
So
our
are we going to
office.
change that? If we pass this, as is, does the school committee, let's say the attorney that represents the school committee right now leaves, do they have to come to us, to the city council, I should say, to?
So that has not been happening in practice. There is an ordinance that the city council passed, the contract ordinance that says, and it's fairly recent, I think some of you were on that council, that says every time outside counsel is hired, the city council must vote on it. But that's not the practice. I think the position of the school committee is that state law overrides that ordinance. It would not override a charter provision if you want to put something in the charter regarding that, but that's certainly up to you. It doesn't happen in practice.
It wasn't
What
just
about-
the school committee either, I'm sorry. It was occurring under your.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Mr. Chairman, what about a notice provision that when they want to go for outside counsel, they just have to notify the mayor and the city council, and then that triggers the solicitor being able to say, oh, gee, I can handle that for you. You don't need to go to outside, or
I can.
you at least know that they're doing
The office
that.
could offer to
Yeah.
handle it for them.
And that's
That's what
exactly
this
what
does.
it said. That's why my point, a clear statement of the
And just
need
make it
for
a
outside
notice,
counsel.
yeah.
It's a clear
Yeah.
statement.
I'd like Ian, what do you think, being on that side, as far as that side of the table?
Right now, for the most part, we have a firm for special ed and another one, and I should say special ed and student discipline for the most part, and another one for personnel, collective bargaining, et cetera. And they're firms that have multiple expertise, so people with different expertise. I would love to use the solicitor's office more for contract stuff, for
Yes,
kid breaks an
yes,
arm.
yes.
But as far as those other things go, I mean, I kind of like to stick by state law. Every time we
Yes,
have a student
yes.
discipline thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
and we have to go to our firm, I don't want to bother him. He's got things to do too.
Right.
You know.
So then you voted no. I'm just curious though, what concerns you about what's in this part? I'm sorry?
The word school department.
What would you like that to say? Because as you just said,
Well, we've just eliminated the mayor. We've eliminated the city council. So essentially, it's for the school department and other boards.
well, but again, the only reason why we have eliminated the mayor and the council is because there are other bodies that go out and just hire. Again, like I said, there could be a land use lawyer. It could be somebody in the tax accountant that they might want to go hire an accountant. And the city's not saying no. They just want to know what's going on, where's the money going. So I don't want to get into the weeds about regarding this $500,000 that was spent. But if I had to look at that, and I've never had it, I mean, that was spent on outside counsel, not with the special ed, not with the personal collective
I'm
bargaining.
not sure where that $500,000
I don't
came
either.
from.
I had an email that stated that.
3
there was-
years,
Okay, huh?
over 3 years.
Was it over 3 years? Okay, so, but it was still, so, but what was it spent on? Do you mind just elaborating a little on that?
Special ed,
Okay, yeah,
negotiations.
no, somebody was saying that it was outside of, that's something that the solicitor's office could have taken
I'm
care
not
of.
sure where you're getting
I'll
your
try to look at-
information.
I'll try to
Yeah.
look for that again, but it was presented, we discussed it here. And again, I'm all for special ed. I think you should have your collective bargaining group, because again, they know more about, the steps that the teachers have.
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true,
What?
but
What can you say?
collective bargaining wise, it depends on who's in this office. I have a lot of collective bargaining experience. But I'm not saying every solicitor will have that. So I don't necessarily object to folks using outside counsel for that purpose. And that statute is self-limiting anyway. The state law only allows them to spend up to $25,000. Then they have to come to the mayor for additional permission to go beyond that.
I'd like to ask Ian if there were just a notice provision or something akin to that, are you fine with that? Meaning that it doesn't require you to go through this process, but you're going to notify the mayor and the city council.
Every single time we call an attorney
Well-
or,
But it's in specifically two areas by state law,
Yeah.
right? anything other, that you just let them know that you're going to outside counsel. And if they think that it's not included in what state law is, or like Paul just said, I may have an expertise in collective bargaining or whatever, I could help you with that and save you some money. I mean, it doesn't require you to go through this process, but it allows for everybody to kind of talk about, well, you really don't need to, or you have the right to, but why don't we see if we can work with you on that, or something like that.
I have no problem working with Paul myself. I mean, personally, I have no issues with Paul whatsoever.
No, I know. Unfortunately, you're
But
representing me.
it's really not productive to, as soon as a kid, say, has a weapon in school,
Yes.
Yeah.
now I have to find somebody to notify to tell them we're going to call our attorney. Like,
That's what I was just going to ask. What does engage
I would
mean?
love to use them more, but I also know he's also straight out too.
Yeah.
Like his office, I think, is probably catching up.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have to wait.
But I think there's an issue of what does it mean to, and then now we're getting deep dive,
Yes,
but what does it mean to engage outside counsel? So outside counsel to me means engage them, meaning I'm making a contract with XYZ law firm. Right. I would not think that every time then you had a student discipline issue or a IEP issue and this and that they would have to notify, that you would have to notify. That to me is not that. I think, in my view, engage means signing a contract up to 100 hours for at $100 an hour. It's a $100,000 contract they're going to have on retainer, right? That to me is what you would notify, not every time you use it. I'm not sure that's clear here to your point, because that's not a productive use of time to be like, I gotta go, someone wants an outside placement and now I've got to, all we're going to be doing is sending notifications. So I think there's a question of what engage means.
Maybe we could, any request to contract instead of engage outside legal counsel. I mean, because you might be able to call somebody that and say, hey, we have that same issue again with Charlie, and they may say, just follow the same thing you follow. That's not engaging, but maybe contracting, we can take that word out and put contracting.
But don't we? I don't want to speak for school committee, but I'm willing to just like to follow state law.
Well, again, I want to be clear. I'm going to say it like for the 18th, upteenth time.
Rather than rewriting it specific for us?
Yeah. Again, this is where, and I've met people out in the streets, and they've said, oh, well, we have statutory requirements, and I'm making it crystal clear. This is not regarding any statutory legal rights that you in the school department have. This is nothing. Now, let me ask you this question. God forbid a child falls. Well, we had that issue here in Methuen. We had a child, and he ended up being a city councilor afterwards, but his son got hurt on one of the playgrounds and he cut his leg pretty good. Let me ask you this. You probably had to call an attorney. Now, my question is, the city attorney, I think maybe even the city attorney did handle it, if I'm correct, but this was years ago. That is something that our own city attorney can handle. So and there's no statutory requirement there.
And in the past, those kinds of things would go through the
That's
city.
it. That's all we have to
So
do.
why don't we add that language, notwithstanding any state law to the
Yes,
contrary?
notwithstanding, we don't want to interfere. You have a job to do. We know it. And it's getting, bigger and bigger as time goes on with more requirements and everything else. So I would want you to say this has nothing to do with you contacting your special education attorney. Again, I understand Paul chimed in, but you did mention personnel, collective bargaining. If you want to work with the city solicitor, that's even better. But I'm talking about anything that that we could do here. We have to rein in some spending.
Paul?
So I would just say, I think we need to think a little bit more about this issue. To me, it seems like I think there's less concern about people asking for permission to hire specific outside counsel. What I'm hearing and what I've heard all along in this process is that there's more concern over the fiscal ramifications of that action. Maybe you want to consider doing something different and not restricting people from hiring, but just setting a monetary cap or something that says something like, I don't know, like all contracts for outside legal counsel are permitted up to a maximum of $50,000 annually, and any contracts over $50,000 or something like that must meet with the mayor and the council's
So
approval.
Paul, that wasn't
or something like that.
That's not the intent, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When I pushed the resolution to require all outside legal counsel, it wasn't over money, it was over the fact that there were departments that on their own hired attorneys, and there was a high-profile case that the city lost. And I found out about it on a Sunday night and called the solicitor and said, what the heck happened? We didn't even know about this. And he says, I didn't either. And you know, so the point is, we wanted to rein all of that in and make sure that when you report to the city council on legal activity, whether it's in an executive session or public, that you know every case that's going on. So that was why we did it. It wasn't just about financial.
Okay, well, I mean,
You know,
you're not
but-
getting close to that with
But
this.
Eleni
That's
had
what you're trying
said,
to do.
Eleni had made a good point, though, that you know, maybe we just put a limit, a fiscal amount, so the city, the school department can hire, you know, going through the city, an outside legal counsel. Oh, you said that, Paul. I'm
No,
sorry.
it just depends on what you're, I guess you're trying to do a few things. So right now, nobody's hiring, there are only certain departments that have a statutory right to hire outside legal counsel. The school committee is one, the treasurer is another, the assessors have an independent right to hire legal counsel under state law, and as does the retirement board. So those are pretty much the only boards.
But I believe they
that are-
still have to make you aware of it.
I mean, there's really no provisions about that, like other than
The provisions were in
other
that
than the
ordinance.
contract law that
Yeah.
says when outside legal counsel is hired, people have to vote on it. Like the council must vote on it, but is that happening all the time? I'm not sure that it is. So, I mean, so I think we need to remember, like, you're dealing with the home rule charter. So, like, if you don't like those provisions, the home rule charter can modify state law provisions. Like if you want a consolidated legal department, and I'm not suggesting that you do, but like if you wanted a consolidated legal department where people went through it, you could just say that and say people have to go through the consolidated legal department and have their, you know, whatever recommendation, you know, if they want to hire outside counsel, it has to be reviewed by the solicitor and approved by the mayor or something like that, or has to be with the approval of the mayor and the solicitor, or there's a million ways you could do it. But I mean, it sounds like you're trying to make sure that there's one person or one office that's aware of everything. So like I'm sure there's more simple language we can adopt that would satisfy people. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. I mean, the financial piece is a different piece. Like that's what the council addressed in terms of saying we want to vote on every outside contract. I do agree with Eleni, like once you vote on that, like you use it up to whatever the appropriation is for that. I don't constantly go back to the council. Like we have a contract with KP Law, we have a contract with Morgan Brown and Joy, we have a contract with one other firm. So like if I need them, I can use them up to my appropriation, whatever that is, whatever the contract amount is. If I exceed that, obviously I have to go back to the council and ask for more money. But, you know, those are sort of the two facets of it. I mean, this is an issue that is not, you know, it's getting better, but it's because of the people that are here right now. But if you want to institutionalize it, I think it's a good idea, but I would do it as simply as you can. Simple is
I
better.
mean, that's why I thought a notice provision takes care of it.
Sure,
I'm not
like-
quite sure of the appropriation piece. I mean, you could have some issues that the school department's dealing with in special ed or whatever the state says, you know, it gives them authority for, that would exceed the amount, potentially could exceed what you've appropriated. So that might not be the best way, but just making sure that the city solicitor understands who's going out for counsel. I mean, at the very least, that doesn't ruffle feathers, that means that you're letting him know, the city knows it, and if he or she is able to be helpful in that regard, at least they can say, hey, I can do that for you. You know, you don't need to hire somebody.
And we
to do
have
it. I
done
can do
that.
it.
So we, like, for instance, the treasurer's office for many years had they have outside counsel to do tax title and tax foreclosure work. Our office is capable of doing that work.
Yep.
We have started to do some of that, cooperatively with them, and they're perfectly amenable to that. But it's not required. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, so we should require it.
But so that's and in other communities, there are differing provisions, requiring different levels of who gets to hire and how they hire. So there's a lot of permutations depending on what people think is an appropriate policy.
Right. So your comment, though, that there's the 4 areas: the school committee, retirement board, treasurer, and assessor, who can have legal authority to hire outside counsel. So that just makes me wonder, like, if the retirement board was having an issue with someone,
they get to go out.
appealing credible service decision and this and that, they can hire outside counsel, understand that, but they do not need to ever tell you. And see, that to me is a bigger, so
Yes,
that
a
just
notice
comes back
he has to
again.
be told.
And we
that,
do help
again,
them
I don't
too,
think we
but
should stop them because they have the statutory authority, particularly in such
Yeah.
a niche area of the law. But you should know,
Definitely.
right? So
I mean, I'm aware that that's happening.
Right, but that's only because
but only because
you have good
we
relationships and you hear that, and that to me is
right. There's no
apparent.
reporting. I don't see the bills. I don't know how much they're spending.
Right,
I don't
and
have
that's
any
partly
idea.
because
Like
it comes out
when
of
the
there.
mayor says to me, like, I just had my budget meeting today. Like, we don't even ask these questions. Oh, like, what is the total amount of legal money that's being spent by the city? I can only speak to what I do. Like what my legal contracts are. I have no idea how much the retirement board is spending. I have no idea what the treasurer is spending. I have no idea what, the assessors I don't think they're using anybody, but
Right,
they
but
could
they
have
could
used somebody.
if there was an issue.
So like I can't address those issues.
Yeah, we should deal with that. Yeah.
So are you saying that if we address that in the charter, they will be required
Yes.
to update? That needs to be in there then clearly.
The charter, this is what I'm saying to you, is that the whole purpose of home rule charter is there are all those state laws out there.
Right.
But with a home rule charter, you're allowed to modify.
supersede that, right.
You can supersede those if you wish. You don't have to, but you can, as long as it's approved by the legislature and signed by the governor. It allows you to govern your community the way that you want. So
right.
I'm not saying whether you
it
want
does
that or
strike
not,
me as
but you
odd
can. You don't have to say, oh, well, the statute allows them. Well, you can modify
Right, no, yeah,
those
no,
provisions and
understood.
say you can still do this, but not this. Or you can do this and you have to report. Or you can do whatever it is you want. It's
And
completely
the
open.
legislature would have the right to say when they get our home rule petition, no, you can't do that. or
Right, they
whatever.
would say, we don't want you to monkey with that statute. Yep, they could do that. They don't often do it, though, as long as there's a reason for it, if it looks reasonable. But yes, sometimes we do send stuff up and they're like, that's a conflict, we don't want that, or we never allow it.
So in your opinion, we can either put that they must report to you, but can we also include that in the section that we spoke about where these department heads, the assessor, et cetera, they would have to go through the process of requesting outside legal counsel?
Well, I mean, I don't know what you want to do with that.
No,
I
my
think
question
we've gone
too is
around
if
on
we
that
put it
issue,
in the
but I
charter-
think at a minimum, I mean, it might be good to include some provision that says any officer or board or commission engaging outside legal counsel shall, file an annual report with the solicitor's office,
Notify the solicitor.
I'm
saying whatever.
still trying to get
we've hired these
clarification,
people.
Paul,
You're
on
trying
that.
to what?
The question is, if we put in the charter that the retirement board needs to go through the same procedure to hire an outside legal counsel, going through the city, okay? Then does that now supersede the state?
It could, as long as the
they
legislature
approve it.
doesn't have a problem with it. If
Right.
it's a reasonable provision and it's approved as part of the charter provision, it would override.
Was there a large number of funds in the assessors or the treasurers or the retirement board that would have caught you or made you say, "Oh, this is a little carried away," or was it something?
I honestly have
you don't
no
know?
idea how much they've been spending.
Okay.
The retirement board uses legal counsel fairly frequently for their issues. I don't know how much that amounts to. The treasurer doesn't. They have a legal contract, but most of it is like a contingent fee thing. So like they get paid a certain amount of money, and then whatever they collect, they get paid from that too. So it's not like a traditional legal contract. We do some bankruptcy work for the treasurer's office and the assessor's office as well. So we try to keep those from going outside because that can be expensive.
Yep.
Okay. You know, let me just throw out a scenario. With this provision, it requires that there's a gatekeeper for all soliciting activities. Now, if the solicitor is receiving all these requests and he can address them, great, he's doing it. He says, no, I can't address it. But he's getting enough requests that he recognizes that there is a need, say, for a third assistant solicitor. And comes back to the council and says, you know, I'm getting all these requests. They're in this kind of venue. You know, if we appropriate for a third person, we could avoid 5 different firms being hired. We don't have that ability right now because it's not consolidated. But he becomes the gatekeeper and he can decide. I got a freedom of information request right here. Can you help me? No, I can't. But if he gets a lot of those, he can say, why don't we get somebody, an informational officer? He can manage, I think, what you were hoping for, Jen, you know, that whole legal activity by understanding. But right now it's so fragmented, he can't understand it.
Because I want Ian to feel that he has a voice and no, I do it because we don't want to take in. I know that what he said about there are statutory requirements for the assessors. One thing I personally would not want to do, because there's probably a firm I don't even know that you probably have had for years that has helped the school. I don't want to interfere with that. But I do think if it's incidental stuff, and I think you've said, you know, yes, a kid on a playground, that is what we're talking about here. But I think from this board here, and the fact that they do have the right to call for special ed, and it's not getting easier for them. I wouldn't want to see us do that. But other stuff, yes, I do want to make sure that, and Dennis, we do have 3 now. We have, and there was a need. And not only did the city solicitor, and I believe it was under Paul's term that we've got the 3. The mayor's agreed and the city council. So that is why I think now this document should have its own Department of Law, and we should look into what's the best way to, like you said, find out who the gatekeeper is. As Sharon said, an agreement, maybe a notice, you know, and I think we don't have to decide that tonight. If we talked about it, as Steve said, there was a couple of things they want to address, and come back and find out how we want to get that into this document once and for all.
Well, then, if that's the case, can we, let me give you a few other thoughts based on our conversation. Dennis, you know, correct me if I'm misstating this, but number 1 was the outside legal counsel issue. So I do think that we also have to determine, and if it's a financial amount, how do we limit it so that, again, a mayor or a city council doesn't hire an outside legal counsel for their entire term, unlimited? There has to be something that justifies. Yeah.
It would be part of the motion to authorize the hiring. They say up to. I'm sure that the council or the mayor would
Okay.
Yeah, right,
All right.
exactly.
So then,
and because if you give a number in a document like this, 10 years from now, that
you're right.
There's no adjustment.
The other,
Already say that.
One other thing, Steve, maybe at the next meeting, you could give the have Lisa pull out your original resolution. Then you actually, I believe, did it again a few years later when you really want to go back and add some more money. So if you share it with this body to show how you did it, and I believe it was up to $25,000, if I'm not mistaken. So again, we could attach something in here. Please see, the procedure below, and then they would just have to say, and that way there's a number. So then they come to the appropriating authority, the council, and then have to say, hey, the mayor is looking for 25,000, he might not use it, but he might only use 4 at the end of the year, you're fine. But it gives them the ability to do that.
And that's how
on
the
their own.
council did that
Yes.
when we hired the attorney, the firm that Foskett worked for was $25,000, and we used them for the police issue, but we also used him for another issue in town that he made a monumental recommendation that helped. So, again, we stayed within the financial, but that's one thing. The other concern was if they're going to give up the assistants, right? Then we talked about creating a search committee with 2 members from the mayor, 2 members from the council, 1 member from both. And that creates a search committee for a solicitor. I think we should also look at using the same standards of a search committee for any assistant solicitors, okay? So now everyone has say in that. And then the last thing is, I think that the solicitor's office should then be able to work basically independently, representing everybody, okay? So the mayor asked for a consideration that, what happens if there's a problem? What happens if the solicitor is not working with the mayor? So if the solicitor is not working with the council and the council has concerns right now, the council can choose not to rehire him, right? They can just choose. What we did with the last solicitor was we opened up a search committee, and in that case told the solicitor, you're welcome to apply again too, but we selected a new solicitor. So what if we, and this is something to think about, give the mayor an option also. So 2 months, let's say, before the end of the solicitor's term, the city council or the mayor could say, I want to open up a search committee. Okay, now, the search committee could include the solicitor, the current one, right? But at the end of the day, a new search committee is created, and we entertain applicants, right? So in other words, they were concerned that if everything moves under the solicitor, that what happens if we've got a very unhealthy situation? We need a circuit breaker, right? So it's just something for us to think about. So what I'm going to suggest is, why don't we take those thoughts, go through this section again, and but be prepared to come back at the next meeting and see if we can hammer this out. And if that's okay with everyone, I should have done this at the beginning, but we should have talked about the edits that Marilyn Freeman gave to us. So,
I've been
but
going
before we get
through-
on to this,
I've
are
been
we
going
all
through
set
it.
with that plan?
No,
Is that okay?
I do want to, I want.
On this, yeah?
So thank you. So I don't agree with that, so I do want to say about the mayor. So our charter states just the way it sits, our charter says that on the odd year of every January, that they appoint the city solicitor, their clerk, and now that Lisa is here, their assistant clerk. It doesn't say that the mayor does that. He appoints his chief of staff, he has an executive assistant, and he has another, I believe, an assistant in his office. And that's his right, and he doesn't have to go through anybody, or he or she shouldn't have to go through anybody. So I just don't think that if the mayor feels that the city attorney isn't working with him, and again, you can use the word if, what if, and I have to honestly say, I have not seen that. I have not seen, and other than the one time Dennis had mentioned, Sharon, I think you probably had good relationships with attorneys, and I think you could handle if you didn't. I think that then when Bill Manzi came on, we had Peter McQuillan here. I believe he had a good relationship with him. Steve Zarni, again, had a good relationship. I mean, we did have to let go one of the city attorneys, and there was no involvement with the mayor when we had to let one of the attorneys go under Steve Zarni. And then after I left, there was Ken Rossetti. Apparently, the council did not want to exercise the right to rehire him. And then Paul's in the picture. I don't think that all of a sudden the mayor should come out and say, I I think that we should go out for a new, if he wants to have a conversation with whoever or he or she wants to have a conversation with whoever the chair is and say, hey, I'm having a little problem here. What you said, that is a good way to collaborate. If you don't want to collaborate and think you're just going to come in, should the city council say, I've been having a problem with the community development director, and so when his name's up for appointment, I'm going to call for a job thing. It's muddying the waters.
The city council can already do that, right? When the community development director's contract is up for renewal,
Yeah.
the mayor puts it before the council, and the council can say no. The council can do the same with the CAFO. The council gave up the accountant, but with the CAFO, every 3 years when her contract or his contract becomes due, the mayor presents it, and the city council can vote no.
That's why we
But
made
in
that
this
provision.
case,
We made the provision, though, and we spent a lot of time on it to add the mayor to the, and I believe the mayor should have some say, and we had the discussion because Sharon and Dennis, the two former mayors of Methuen, gave us their look on why they should feel that they were involved. And that is why we made sure that if and when the council is unhappy with their solicitor, then if the mayor or his designee or his or her designee would be part of the committee, and they would be able to have some say in whether they think this candidate, and again, the mayor's office does hold weight, but there should be a discussion with them and the council chair. And if there isn't, and they need to go out and get outside legal advice, we're now putting that in so that it is in the document, so that there is that. So I just don't think the day-to-day hiring and firing of their specific employees, they should be commingled. That's just my opinion.
I'm sympathetic towards what Steve has recommended because we don't know today what's going to happen 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. And I could see, and I'd be interested in what Dennis felt, I could see a situation where the mayor and the city solicitor just weren't clicking at all. And it just wasn't working, or there were problems or what have you. So you're not giving the mayor the authority to veto. You're giving the mayor the authority to say to the city council, this just isn't working. You know, we need to.
Because currently, and I would think even what we're talking about, if everyone's happy with the solicitor, every 2 years the council is going to vote to reappoint. Done. All right, so that's not an issue. This is the only department, and again, every other department head, the mayor puts it before the council. The council has the ability to say no.
And if they say no, what happens? If they say no, what happens at that point?
Well, then they're going to have to. Then they're going
No,
to have to
if the council
vacate.
says no,
Yeah.
then what happens when they vote no for the mayor's appointment?
The seat is vacated
Oh, it
after. I think we addressed that.
Yeah, but that just didn't happen.
No, we're not. We're
Well, I'm
talking
just
about
telling you,
that.
so I'm
not-
giving you a point.
I'm trying to keep the personnel, but again,
It's not a
guys,
personality, it's a
I
procedure.
believe we addressed that when now, if the council votes no to an appointment, then they have. I think we gave the mayor plenty of time, but at a certain point, I believe it was 180 days. It might have been less. Then that seat is vacated. So you do have to give time to find another person. Okay, now, I think we addressed that. Now, my only concern here is that the solicitor is the only department head where the mayor literally has no control whatsoever. If things, and again, I don't like the way politics are going in general.
Yeah.
And so I'm concerned about 5 years, 10 years from now.
Right, exactly.
The mayor has to have, I call it a circuit breaker. There's got to be the ability for the mayor or the city council to say, let's open a search.
You know, it's the city solicitor, in my mind, is a different situation than a department head, because the city solicitor is like, it permeates into everything. And it's very difficult when you're the head of an organization not to have the inputs as to who represents your business in a legal sense. And it's very difficult. And, you know, we have to look towards what can happen, what could happen, and try and anticipate and then deal with that. It's a very special relationship. And if it goes sour, it affects everything that happens in city government. So I like the thought of that. I don't mean to take any authority away from the city council, but we're in a unique position to have understood what could happen.
Okay, Dennis?
I'm always looking for an easy way of resolving these conflicts, and it's just the consultation part of it. What if it was as simple as this? The city council shall, honor before January 15th in an odd number year. The first paragraph, the very beginning.
No, of which section? Just
Of the city solicitor.
3-2.
Okay. Yeah, it's C. But when it comes down, it says by a ballot or other, a city solicitor to serve a term of 2 years or until the council determines not to reappoint based on a recommendation by the mayor. Based on a recommendation. So the mayor would say, I would recommend a reappointment, but if the city solicitor is stonewalling and not being cooperative, if you want to reappoint him, you can, or her, but I recommend you don't because they won't work with me. Correct. Then it's based on the recommendation of your CEO, and then you make a decision.
Okay, I like that. But the only other thing too is remember, there are now 3. So I do want the mayor to feel comfortable to say, let's just say there is a personality conflict with the mayor and the head city solicitor. I would hope, and again, remember, you're talking about people who have a high-level job. I mean, they should be able to work with counselors, they should be able to work with all staff and all employees. So let's just say we know right out of the gate, maybe the day one of when they go in and they go, yeah, we really don't get along all that well. They should be able to go to the assistant city solicitor, okay, or the 2. Maybe someday we'll have more, and try to build a road and say, listen, I just don't want to talk to him about this particular ordinance. Can you look at it? And then go to the chair of the council and say, listen, I just want to be upfront. As you know, I don't really, I want to have the authority to go to your next person without any interference from this person. They should work together. If there isn't, then the mayor should come on the floor and state it to the body, because you got 9 people. You don't have to just try to convince one. If the chair is being a little on the hostile side and say, too bad, you don't like them, we're not too much friends. But if the mayor could say to the council, listen, with all due respect to the city solicitor, and I know he's your employee, but every time I try to call, he's halting my executive privileges and orders that I'm trying to do. So what I'm asking is, I want to deal with this one here. And I'm asking for your permission. I don't want it, because if it's a case, then I'm going to exercise my right to go outside and get my own legal help, and I'll deal with it that way, because I'm not going to be impeded. But that's not the case, and I haven't heard, and I know a lot of them, all the mayors actually, starting with you, and I don't really see that this with not to say it doesn't happen, but I think there is just a way to work with everybody.
Steve?
Yep.
Just one more point on this. Based on the language that Dennis just recommended, the good unintended consequence of that might be, based on the mayor saying that to the city council, in practice, it should force the mayor to then sit with the city council, sit with individual councilors, to chat about it, to talk about it. Without that language, there's doesn't foster heading in that direction. So it doesn't take authority away from the city council. It only adds a layer of
Confirmation.
and it's going to force people to talk, to work it out, which I think would be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that this amended charter gives a lot more power and might to the city council regarding appointments and reappointments, because now the city council again rejects someone, that seat's going to eventually vacate. Okay, so we have shifted a lot of.
That was already in the charter.
It wasn't in there. It wasn't in there. You have people that haven't been reappointed that can just sit there until the mayor replaces them. So they could sit there for eternity.
But the provision, not really, because the provision of, we added what happens because of what we've seen. That's why. But the provision has always been there that the mayor appoints the council takes the vote, okay? But what you have seen during your time on the city council, you have seen councils rejecting appointments,
Reappointments, yeah.
okay? You've also seen a mayor that may have put somebody in office as a temporary appointment. And the council really didn't like how that worked. And it wasn't just temporary, it was for a long period of time that caused you to do a home rule petition on that case. So because of these instances, because it's really not clearly aligned into this charter, we ended up putting more clarifying language to say we can't do that. It's not the proper way to run the government. So when you do get the appointment, and maybe the council doesn't support it, then you could put them in temporarily, or if you do temporarily, I think, what was yours, 180 days, which I thought
That's
was...
what we just put in.
it's 90 plus
Yeah, I think it is 90 plus,
Okay.
yeah.
So we put those provisions in based on stuff that's happened. So what we did was basically stop some nonsense that has been
Well,
going
that's
on.
exactly what I'm saying. We changed it because right now, that person could sit forever because there was nothing. So we have brought more authority over to the council. So, again, that brings us to one department right now. And so I think at this point, we should just think this out. We've already discussed it. And honestly, we all have what's best for the city. We don't have any personal, I don't really care personally for either side. I'm not here to defend either side. So let's just take away, think about this. If anyone wants to write a sample of it, maybe we can share that and then come back to the next meeting and further discuss it.
Sounds good.
So if we can move on to the amendments or the recommended edits from Marilyn.
Yes.
I think that, did the two of you
Yes.
sit down and go through them?
Yes.
And did they all make sense? Did you look at them?
Yes. It was just Marilyn suggested, and they were all needed just for clarification. The only one, Eleni, where was that?
The ones that were listed on page 12, Article 3 of the amended version. It should be, Marilyn had suggested there, but it should be they on page 12. Yep.
They.
Yep, the rest of her, yes, and then on page 13, similarly, it should be they desire, it's just to get that grammatically.
13 has two of them, one on M, where it says he, it should say they, and one on 3-3A, he, they, and then you drop the S, Lisa, where it says they desired, not desires. See that, Lee?
Yep.
And then all her other stuff,
I actually couldn't find the section, this one, I might have just been looking too quickly on, page 14, section 3-7, it says line 5.
of B, does it say?
Yeah.
So right where it says, if you look at line 5 where it says B, it had the second last line, unless the time within, and then she wants to add, and it makes sense, because it says, how it reads now, it says, unless the time within the mayor must, unless the time within which the mayor must act. She wants to add which.
Oh, okay.
Right
I
where
couldn't
it says
find it.
within. See within? B.
The last full sentence.
Yeah, what?
14B.
Doesn't say that. You have no power, yeah, that's it right here.
Oh, down here.
Okay.
Oh, I was looking up here. Okay,
So we'll
very
say
good.
within the mayor.
That's
Yes,
my-
okay.
The wrong
Yes.
section,
The
sorry.
wrong section. All right. Other than that,
You need that?
Yep, they were fine.
did you see any, John? Anything else? Sworn in, she wanted to say into? No, what?
Page 15,
15?
section D. I think the there is similar to they.
Yep. Where is that one?
Under the powers, term of office. Second line, starting the second sentence. Should say either he or she or they.
Yep, it's here.
Yes, I have that, thank you. Yes, I have that one too.
And I did appreciate the comment that in some sections, we have school committee capitalized, and other times we don't. So we should just choose and be consistent, which I appreciate. And same with chair and vice chair. It looked like there was some
We tried with that, too.
clarity issues
Yes.
that, excuse me, consistency issues.
So let me clarify. Are you okay with capitalizing or do you want small?
I would assume it should be capitalized,
I agree with
since we're referring to a formal.
So capitalize the school committee and chair. Make sure that all the chair and school committee.
Oh, yes. Well,
Yeah.
I think the point was that some areas we say president of the council and vice president of the council, yet the positions are known as chair and vice chair. So,
But you guys changed that.
We
yeah, I
changed the
think we
president,
have.
so we
yeah.
should correct that in
We
that
should just make
section.
sure in section 10.7.
No problem.
John, did you have something?
I was just.
Thank you so much
she
for
had
doing
noted it.
this.
Page 28, we do need to adjust it from 12 to 15.
Yes.
12 to 15, Lee.
Oh, yeah.
On page 29,
What page?
28.
under 8-4.
Yep. You got
And
it.
again, if you have this paper, Lisa, so
Yep.
if we miss anything, thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Excellent. So do we need a motion to correct all
I'll
this?
make a motion to accept corrections. Accept, yes, please.
Well, let's make the motion in a second, then you can add more.
Well, if she wants to add more, then we'll
Okay,
add
go ahead.
all the corrections.
We don't have it open, but all right.
Which one, Sharon?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think on page 12, section
12E.
it says P,
It should say they, yeah.
so we need to
This was on Marilyn's list. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Them as they
Yeah,
may be
Marilyn
deemed.
had
Yep.
that on number
Yep.
E, yes, yep, that was part of her correction.
Do we have anything else?
There was another section, where we referred to the chair or something as the president.
Yes, I think that might have been in section 10.7 is what we were just starting to say that was called out, I think, in 10.7.
Oh, yes. Elect a chair and a vice chair, that one, officers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe 10.7 speaks about other boards, multi-member
Yeah,
boards.
yeah.
But
That's
if you
why I
look back
refer
at the
to
school
10.7
committee,
page
if you go
32.
back to the school committee section, as well as the city council section, they refer to them as president and vice president. So I
So
think,
in other words, we
I think
would
she was
have
just
a-
pretty much saying, make it consistent one way or the other. Maybe
Yep.
they all be chair and vice chair, or they all be
Across the
presidents.
city, right,
Yeah.
yes.
I like chair and vice chair regardless of what board they're on, but that's just my,
But again, what about appointed positions? Wouldn't they be chair, like, or would it be president of a?
Should be
I would be
chair and
chair of
vice
this
chair.
committee,
Yeah,
right?
you're not the
So-
president of the.
So that one
Community
section, it
development.
might remain as chair and vice chair, right?
Yeah. In second. So, but I'll capitalize them. Correct?
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Thank you. Page 12 again, section C. And I think Dennis's remembrance of this might be helpful. The question of the mayor attending city council meetings is a holdover from when we had a town manager. The town manager was an employee of the city council. So I'm not sure that we should say shall. Dennis went to meetings. I went to meetings because I enjoyed it. I didn't go because I was told to, but, so I'm wondering if we should make the shall softer. Maybe it's a may or something of that sort.
it says shall, and then the next line says, but they can excuse themselves.
Right,
So it's
exactly.
not really shall, it's may.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say, being a city councilor, I mean, if you watched the meeting the other night, there was a lot on that agenda that you really want the mayor, and I don't see a mayor not wanting to be there. There was a purchase of a building, there was something regarding health insurance that was very important, and there was, appointments. I know that the Haverhill mayor is not required, but he does send his chief of staff. So I would still think a representative, because I know when Mayor Jujuga was here, he had some, issues with, coming to the meeting during for whatever reasons, but he sent his chief of staff, who was so knowledgeable. It was, he was such a joy to have at our meetings, Paul Fahey. And he knew everything that was going on. And so I think maybe writing the mayor or his designee shall attend, because you do want someone from the mayor's office, because if the council don't have questions, I find it hard to be able to say, well, I'm going to vote on this, and I can't even ask the CEO. So
If I can just add that, I
Yes.
don't mean to argue with you, but just to give a point
Yes.
of view. So there may be a city council meeting where there's like nothing on it that would
yes,
involve the mayor.
right.
Secondly, I mean, if the mayor chooses to not dialogue on the floor about contractual talks going on about health insurance or whatever, the mayor should not be forced to. If the mayor's sitting here, you're almost forced to get into that discussion because you will be asked about that.
Correct.
Then, why should the city council mandate that the mayor be at their meeting?
Well, the way,
It just-
as it was said, it also says he can just
could
excuse
excuse
himself.
But,
So
yeah, well, why go through that? Why not?
I would think
to
a mayor
me-
wants to be there to make
Absolutely.
sure items are
Well, I
passed.
agree with you. I
right?
mean,
But
for self-preservation purposes, if there's anything on the agenda, the mayor probably wants to be there to discuss it. But I'm not quite sure we ought to say you have to be there.
No. And I
We don't
think,
say that about city councilors, by the way.
No.
They are elected to be there, but we don't, the charter doesn't say they shall.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
It's a little bit of overkill. I mean,
So the charter does say that the city council shall meet two meetings a month, give the dates of those meetings,
but they
and
don't
that-
say that individual members shall. You know what I'm saying? But that's the nuance of that
Yeah, that's
word
why
shall.
I would say, again, the mayor doesn't have to, but I will tell you, you have 9 members who probably have jobs, and the mayor is a paid elected official to run the city. And if I'm sitting here and there's nobody over there that I can ask a question, you're going to have a group of people who want to know why you did this, or as you know, you were the mayor. I don't even know if I ever remember you missing a meeting. Maybe may have if for whatever reason, but I served with the mayors want to come. That's what I got from it. However, if they can't make it, or if there's an issue where the mayor is being attacked all the time, and they want to send their designee. Now I know Jimmy McCarty, former councilor, he was here the other night, even though the mayor couldn't be there. He apparently had a family emergency. And that happens. But his chief of staff was in the audience to address council concerns, and he's getting paid big bucks too. So guess what? If the people come here who have a pile of stuff this big and they have to vote on it, and they can't even ask a simple question, and I'm going to see, stuff being tabled. I don't see the harm in having the mayor here. They are all elected. You run for office, and hopefully you run to get your measures passed and whatnot. So I would be amenable to writing the mayor or his chief of staff or his designee shall attend all regular meetings of the council unless, and there it is, excused at their own request.
So I would say if I were a city councilor,
Yes.
and I was interested in a particular issue, I would chat with the mayor or the mayor's office or department head, whatever, to get the information I felt I needed for what my vote was going to be prior to a meeting. So I'm not quite sure that Well,
I'll tell you, I always prepared, and I would come
Yeah.
prepared, but there were things that came up that I would like a clarification on something. Now, again, to your point, do we want to say shall or do you want to say may? Because it's either way, the mayor has a choice. He can just excuse himself. So,
Right.
so we can just say may, and it doesn't change anything, to be honest with you. If the mayor doesn't show up, if it says it's optional, and he doesn't show up, and we have a critical issue here, I turn around and say, well, there are more questions. I'm not supporting this.
Yeah, right.
You know, so
I think that's what would happen. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's in the mayor's best interest
It is.
to come.
It really is.
Particularly if there are big issues. But the mayor shouldn't be compelled to come.
Right. He's not. I don't see
He's
this
not,
being
so I don't see a
compelled.
problem. I mean, if you
Shall
want to
says you
vote
will
on
be
it,
here. Yeah.
if you want to vote on it, I mean, it says shall unless he excuses himself. So if you want to vote to change it to may, we can do that.
Is this a compromise? I'm not quite sure. I would do may and take out the language itself that says that the mayor may self-excuse themselves and just do.
Because the question I was just thinking about is who are they excuse? Does he have to? He or she
chair.
have to
Just
tell
notifies the chair I'm not gonna be there.
notifies the chair I'm not going to be there? So
It does imply that the current language, I mean, this is not happening, but it does imply that he has to ask permission not to show up.
I don't know if it's
And that he be
permission.
excused upon his request, meaning you ask permission and either you're excused or you're not.
right, and if you're not
I mean,
excused,
that's
what
not
does that
what
even
really
mean
happens
then?
in practice. I
It's
mean,
just weird.
obviously, we're not holding the mayor to that standard, and usually somebody is here, but point taken, like,
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to say that when I was the chair for 2 years, and I did get the email that would say the mayor is unable to attend the meeting. It didn't say can I not come to the meeting? Never. I cannot come to the meeting, but I will be sending my chief of staff.
So how about
That's
if we
it.
say the mayor may attend, or in the event he's not going to attend, he notifies the chair that he won't be there. Just
Same
common
thing,
courtesy,
the same
right?
exact
Is that reasonable?
I think it's
It is common courtesy. I'm not quite sure you should prescribe it. It's just, it's the
I do think I mean, a lot of things in the charter that we're fixing are vestiges of when this was a town.
right.
And when the charter was sort of patchwork quilted together, people replaced the word town council with
exactly.
council and manager with mayor.
That's exactly
and
what
that
happened.
created
Yeah.
a whole host of legal problems because the town council really was both executive and legislative, more like a selectman body than you couldn't just put the words that way. It just doesn't work correctly. I would say most municipalities do not require their mayor to attend the city council meetings. They may say things like, the council may request the mayor to attend, the meeting or whatever, but there's very few that I know of, if any, that say the mayor has to come to every meeting.
So why don't you make your motion? Oh,
Well,
go ahead.
if we wanted to be a little bit prescriptive, but without weight, is it silly to say the mayor and his or her chief of staff should attend all regular meetings of the council and shall have a voice but no vote? No, like you should attend. If you don't, that is your choice, and I think.
But that's but that goes back to we're prescribing in the charter the mayor should attend. I mean, that should be the mayor's choice as to whether or not he or she attends the city council meeting. I mean, I think for self-preservation purposes, the mayor probably mostly will. But I don't think you should mandate it. That's the word that, and I agree with Paul. I mean, basically, and I was around when they did this. I'm sorry, that makes me old, but basically people just took out the word, whatever it was. They just took out one and inserted the other.
Right,
so
right.
there are flaws, and that clearly is a problem. But
So do we think, honestly, so do we think the charter should be silent on it completely? I asked that genuinely, like maybe it should, I don't know.
maybe it should be. Yeah.
But that's,
No,
but,
because I'll tell you why.
yeah,
Because maybe there's an issue, and if you're silent, the chair can say, this is a city council meeting, you're not invited. So I think it should give the mayor.
I do think
That's a good point.
it's
That's a good point.
important, the part about
think your
having
point may-
the mayor having a voice but no vote, because otherwise it is true that the mayor may not be allowed to speak when they want to speak.
Okay.
So I
So
think,
maybe it
this
should
is
be-
appropriate for a charter to delineate the parameters of how you want people to get along.
So
And
maybe
you can
it
certainly
should-
be aspirational, like, we'd like you to attend, we should attend, whether they do or not, it's sort of more
Please
flexible.
come join us.
But yeah, exactly. But you can certainly do that. This is the place for
John has
that.
a comment.
Yep, John?
So not to overcomplicate this, but if we switch it to May, it is no longer a duty. This is listed under the executive duties, and if it's May, that's not a duty anymore. So does that section even belong in there?
Right, I think maybe the language is the mayor or their designee may attend all regular meetings of the city council and shall have a voice but no vote in all of its deliberations. So that does allow the designee to also have a voice. So if you have a question, he or she can address
I
it.
personally don't think I like that. I mean,
Well,
the
you
mayor
could
has the
add-
option to come to the
You could
meeting.
add, the mayor may attend, or you could say, and shall attend upon request, or something. Like, you could add if they ask him to come or her, then maybe they should come. But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know.
I think that the
Then they're
question
gonna
should
request them
simply
every
be-
week,
I
you
think
know?
the question
Yeah.
should simply be, do we change shall to may? And then, but I don't want to add in or his designee, because the mayor is the mayor, you know?
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
So I think that,
So maybe we're looking at the mayor may attend all regular meetings of the city council and shall have a voice but no vote in all of its deliberations.
I'll second your
Was that a motion?
No, I'm just getting the wording
Because
out.
I'll second it if
I'm like,
that was a
I have the wording out. I would make a motion to change the language to reflect that.
Yeah.
Second.
so what you're doing is you're changing shall to may.
And
then strike it.
removing unless excused at their own request.
Yep.
And then the word.
All right, so we have the motion and the second. Any other discussion? Okay, I could do a roll, well, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, roll call. Oh, we have two noes?
Yeah, John said no.
Okay,
So that's 5 yes, 2 no.
yes.
You should say, in my opinion, that's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to have more issues, but that's fine. If this passes.
Okay,
Got it.
let's think that out for the next meeting then. We can bring it up again.
Yeah, we can.
So with that, I'm going to recommend, check our calendars. So I'd like to see if perhaps, and we're going to have budget meetings on the 30th of April, or can we get a meeting in on the 30th? Do you know? Do you know? They're in May. So how about if we try to get a meeting on April 30th, because we want to get this done, but the next month is going to be budget meetings, and it's going to be very hard to figure out when we can come in here.
I'm unavailable that night.
You're unavailable May 30th.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't meet.
I'm not either.
So that's 2.
April 30th.
I'm about 50-50. I think we're going to have a budget workshop, school committee workshop.
Okay, do we have a choice to either go to May 23rd, or we can go to, April 23rd? I said April 30th just now, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a choice to go to either April 23rd or May 7th. I don't know if that's gonna,
I can't do May 7th either.
no, but what happens is there are other meetings in this hall, and we gotta find out.
April 23rd is,
Yeah, I'm gonna be
it's school
traveling for work.
vacation week, which is
Okay.
slow. There won't be school committee budget meetings, whatever.
Does anybody here have
available
an issue with that week? Let me see, how about if,
I could do the 23rd, but
okay, we can do the 23rd. We have one person that can't make here. What about, I can't do that,
It would be really hard for me. I can do it, but
or the 23rd?
Yeah.
So,
you don't need me.
well, then we're getting into, unless we look at, is there normally someone in here on the first Wednesday of the month? I think there is.
It would have to be like zoning board or something, because I don't
Yeah.
think it's the,
I think it is. I think it's-
May, because now in light of us doing some more work that we didn't plan on,
Mhm.
they're going to be very busy with the budget, so I don't think it's in need of us to get this to them right away. Would you want to do May 7th? Is it for everybody?
That didn't work for me.
I can't do May 7th.
No.
I can't either. I'm traveling.
We can look potentially at May 14th. Do the budgets, are they starting
I
that
could do
week?
the 14th, yeah.
I can't make it on the.
Lights on, yeah. You can't make the 14th?
Get the schedule.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, go
That
for
might
it,
help
please.
us too.
Yeah, that will help. Well, it's very potential.
Well, nothing's easy, huh? Nothing's easy.
No, nothing's easy.
Let's look at,
Would a Saturday morning not be good for us?
Fine.
What time? When?
A Saturday morning? I mean, would this be open here?
I'm sure they can open it for us, but if you really want to do a Saturday. Yeah, Saturdays,
Saturday the 25th, maybe? I'd have to check. We travel.
that's school vacation week anyways. John, you wouldn't be here then, right? Saturday.
What about Tuesday, if we do it early, like 5 o'clock? Tuesdays?
Eleni, that might be an issue for,
I mean, I can make it work if we had to.
Either the 19th or the 26th, does that work for anybody?
Which month?
Oh, I'm sorry, why am I in May?
I was like, that's all right.
Tuesday, the 21st?
I can't do that, but the 28th,
how about Tuesday, the 28th?
yes.
John?
Yes, sold. It's like an auction.
Like 5 o'clock, because I have my trivia.
So,
What?
28th?
I'll take PTO so you can play trivia.
That might be a long meeting, Jen, unless we have something pretty clear. We're waiting for Lisa, and let's just check on April 28th.
Maybe the 28th at 5.
Lisa, Tuesday, April 28th, is there anything on that day?
Yeah, they're May 8th.
So
May
Tuesday,
11th,
April
May
28th?
12th.
April
No,
28th.
I'm
April.
talking about budget schedule, sorry.
Right, Tuesday, April 28th, is that available? Does it look like it is?
That's what you want?
I'm asking you if it's available. There's no budget issues, right? Okay, so why don't we plan the next meeting, Tuesday, April 28th at 5 o'clock? Does that work for everyone?
Lenny?
Yeah, I'll make it work. I'll one off here.
Okay. We'll make it happen.
Make it happen.
I mean, I'll do everything I can.
Okay, can you confirm tomorrow that we can get the hall?
Okay.
Copy that has all the changes that we
Agreed changes?
Yeah, she's going to do that. So Tuesday, 28th, 5 o'clock, next meeting. Lisa will confirm tomorrow, and we'll get that notice out to everyone tomorrow. And then Lisa's also going to get an update to the charter, to everything we've done to date, and we will have and hopefully everyone does give serious thought into the Department of Law. All in favor of motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. It is 8:12 PM.